Everton have been a much better team this season than people would actually think. They have been deducted 8 points this season for financial fair play breaches, which I'm sure everyone and their mom knows about. And if you were to give them their 8 points back, well then they'd be sitting 12th, 1 point clear of Fulham, 1 point behind Wolves. But despite this deduction, Everton have comfortably avoided relegation this season and things are looking on the up for them. But even so, I still feel that people are underrating Everton hugely. But why do I think so? Why do I think a team with 37 points is not only a team being severely underrated, but it's actually a pretty good team in the Premier League? Well, that's what we'll be talking about today. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Back of the Net here. I hope you're all doing well. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, Everton started the season with, to be honest, not all that much hope and optimism around the club. Everton were constant relegation candidates and avoided relegation last season by just 2 points. Literally 2 points less and they would have been relegated due to goal difference with Leicester City. But the season before that, Everton only avoided relegation by 4 points. So having back-to-back seasons narrowly avoiding relegation, and the summer before this season not doing an awful lot in the transfer window due to their financial issues, and under a manager who had been relegated before, I can't say too many Everton fans were looking forward to the season ahead for their club. Despite only avoiding relegation by 2 points the season prior, Everton only brought in a handful of players to help change things around at Goodison. And the quality of these players, well, they weren't club-changing quality. They brought in a 38-year-old Ashley Young on a free. They brought in Dan Juma on a loan deal from Villarreal. That's Dan Juma's second straight loan deal to the Premier League. His previous one being at Spurs, where he just kind of flopped. I mean, Dan Juma was still seen as a decent player who could perform maybe some magic at Everton, but there wasn't that much optimism around him. Everton spent £11 million on bringing in the 19-year-old Portuguese striker from Sporting Lisbon in Yusuf Shemetti, someone who'd only played 20-ish games for Sporting Lisbon's first team, and before then he was just a youth academy product, similar to a guy like Fabio Silva. Look, Shemetti was a player that was definitely seen as a project kind of striker, which is why when that transfer went through, I was very, very surprised in real time. I just didn't understand it. Why would Everton go for someone who needed so much development, is a clear project kind of striker, who will only really be good in 3 to 4 years, when Everton need to win their games now? They also brought in Jack Harrison on loan from Leeds. Again, another player that was thought could have a really good impact at Everton, and I was one of the people thinking that. But then Everton spent their big money. They made their big money sign in spending £26 million on another Portuguese striker in Beto from Udinese. This was a transfer I just didn't love at all, and frankly right now I don't love it all still. He was coming off of a 2-year span with Udinese where he scored just 22 goals and got 2 assists playing 65 games in the Serie A. What made Everton think that he could replicate that or even better that in the Premier League? Well, I don't really know. But with Everton being so good in my eyes this season, it's surely because their new recruits that I wasn't a huge fan of did well, right? No. Dan Juma has only scored 2 goals in 20 games this season for Everton. Jack Harrison has had some good performances, but has only had 4 goals and 3 assists to show for in 35 games for Everton. Shemetti has been exactly what I expected, playing 18 games for Everton with 0 goals, 0 assists, and just 0.57 expected goals in the Premier League all season long. Beto has also just not been good enough, especially considering that he was Everton's big money signing, looking to cure the fact that Everton can't score goals, yet he has only scored 5 goals and got 2 assists in 36 games this season. The only new recruit, the only new signing that I thought has played to a fairly high level in my opinion is the 38-year-old Ashley Young. He hasn't got a goal or an assist from fullback, which, I mean, it isn't great, but Ashley Young has been pretty solid defensively for Everton. Well then, what's made Everton so good this season in my eyes? What's made them so comfortably avoid relegation? Well, it's their defense. Their defense has been jaw-droppingly good. They have only conceded 49 goals this season in the Premier League. 49. That is good enough to rank them 4th. Yes, 4th in the league on goals conceded. The only teams to have conceded less goals than Everton this season is Arsenal, Man City, and Liverpool. That's how good Everton have been defensively. Everton have won 12 games this season in the league. And how many goals have they conceded in those 12 wins? 3. Yep. They have only conceded 3 goals in 12 wins this season in the Premier League. Their defense has been absolutely insane. Jordan Pickford was in the running for Golden Glove, yet they sit in the bottom half of the table. Now listen, Everton have had some really, and I mean really bad performances this season. I mean, they've lost 6-0 to Chelsea, they've lost 3-1 to West Ham, they've lost 2-0 to both Manchester clubs, and I mean, Everton have had their runs of winless games, like when Everton won 1 game out of 17 games games in all competitions this season between the 19th of December and the 2nd of April. Not to mention also starting the season off with 3 straight losses. And despite their defense being so good, they are a nightmare attacking wise. They have just scored 38 goals this season in the Premier League, ranking them 18th in the table. So they rank 4th on defense, but 18th on attack. Just complete opposites defensively and offensively. But just to put into context how surprisingly good Everton have been at times, if they had that 21 goals a season version of Calvert-Lewin and they had the same defensive record and maybe they weren't deducted the 8 points, well then I actually think Everton would be fighting for European spots right now. Now, this isn't me saying that Everton's a top 4 worthy team and all that, because they are not. And that run of 1 win in 17 games just proves what I'm saying. But Everton are a surprisingly good team. And next season, if they can keep their defensive pieces, which I don't think will happen, but if they can, and they can try to fix their finances a little bit, again, I don't think will happen, and maybe not spend some stupid money on players like Beto, well, Everton can at least build a worthy team to be a top half spot in the Premier League. This summer is going to be very, and I mean very, crucial for Everton. They need to raise funds badly, but they also need to try keep whichever crucial players they can, or if they had to sell a player like say Branthwaite, well then they need to try eke out every single penny they can get from him. There are also takeover talks around Everton, but to be honest, I'm not all that clued up on it, and frankly I don't know how real those talks are, so I won't comment on them. Regardless though, Everton are actually a surprisingly good team this season, and if they have a good summer, well then they could at least become a consistent top half team again.